So my wife has a friend from childhood named Anthony. I'm being candid when I say he and I don't get along. It's not like he's rude or disrespectful, nothing like that. But all I feel towards him is annoyance because of how much my wife sees him. He lives alone now and suffers from a medical condition, requiring him to go to the hospital to receive treatment regularly. I discovered that my wife promised to go with him to his every chemo treatment as support. She said it's a commitment she made to be there for him during this rough time, since he has no one else besides her. Okay, at first I had no issues with that, but then this started affecting me. E.g., I can't go see my friends because I have to stay with my son on X day so my wife could be with Anthony for his treatment, etc., etc. I've talked to her about it, but she said that Anthony needs company and that she's just being supportive, and this is when he needs her the most. I let it go, but last week was just my last straw. Anthony had another treatment, and my wife wanted to go with him and asked me to stay home with our son. I told her I had a meetup with my mom and sister to eat lunch and that I won't be home. She said she needed to go be with him, and I flipped out at her and said that she didn't need to be with him and she could go see him at home the next day or something. She threw a fit and called me cruel for forcing her to leave Anthony alone since she's all he has, and I was making her look bad. She also said my appointment with mom and sister wasn't as important as a chemo session, but I decided to leave to end the argument. She ended up staying home but kept ignoring me when I got back, calling me selfish for not letting her be there to support Anthony with what he's going through. Some of her girlfriends think I'm a controlling jerk with no consideration for Anthony and what he's going through. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. You just conveniently can only see your friends on days that Anthony has chemo treatments. Why can't you plan around them if they're pretty regular? It's no different than if it was your wife's family member. Also, why can't your kid come with you to see their grandma and aunt? You are the teeniest bit inconvenienced by all of this. Meanwhile, someone very important to your wife has cancer, and you're mad at her for spending time with them? You sound jealous and petty. You are the idiot, OP. I hope no one in your family ever gets cancer. Chemo appointments are horrible, and your wife will, honest to God, need emotional support after having to watch her friend deal with chemo. It's 1 day a week. You watch the kids. The wife either watches her friend die slowly and painfully, or he gets better, but is still sick and has long-lasting health issues from the chemo. Your wife has to witness this as it happens. You have the better end of the deal by far. Not to mention, his plan is literally to meet your family. Since when can you not take your child to meetings with family? Did your mommy say no to bringing your son apparently? Is the toddler just too loud and noisy in public for you to handle? Woe is OP. Everything else aside, he's your son. It's your job to look after him too. You couldn't meet your mother because you had your son? WTAF. Take him with you, genius. You better get used to that, because you'll have him solo on your weekend fortnight custody in a year. Everyone's the idiot. OP's wife knows OP doesn't like the guy, but committed to him without discussing it with her spouse. She dumped all the child caring for an undetermined amount of chemo treatments in the coming weeks and months on Hubs without discussing it prior. Clearly idiot territory. He's an idiot too, because he either fabricated this lunch to clash or didn't communicate about the clash until the last minute. Who the bigger idiot is hard to say. Exactly. Anthony needs to get his own damn wife. Anthony has no other friends or family, and that isn't your fault or your problem, or your wife's. She didn't marry him, so the sheer amount of time and investment she's sunk into him sounds excessive. And I understand why it annoys you, but pick your battles. When he has cancer is not the time to fight her on this. Wait until he's in a good phase to talk to her about some boundaries. My daughter, 27, is getting married in the fall. I, 58 male, am supposed to pay for the wedding. That's what we agreed on. Unfortunately, we received the save the date invitations a few days after I put the payments through my bank. They need to be approved, so no money's been paid out. My wife isn't invited to the wedding. I've been divorced for 15 years and married to my wife now for 8 years. My daughter never really liked my wife. They don't get along well. However, my other 2 kids love her. I called my daughter and asked why my wife wasn't invited. She said that it was her wedding day, and she only wanted to invite her real family. I said, well, did you invite mom's boyfriend? And she said yes. And I said, well, okay then. You should invite my wife too, or I'm not paying for the wedding. She declined and said she wasn't inviting my wife. I told her I'd cancel the payments then, and she didn't believe me. So I canceled them, and my daughter is now super angry with me, as is my ex-wife. Am I the idiot? Edit. My wife is 61. I met her 5 years after my divorce. My daughter and wife never got along. She took her mom's side during the divorce, and our relationship has been rocky ever since. Not the idiot. Why should you, and presumably your wife, pay for something that she's not invited to? That's not how it works. If she wants to exclude your wife, she can pay for it herself. I honestly think too many young brides read too much social media telling them, it's your day and you can do whatever you want. Yes, you can, but be prepared for blowback, repercussions, etc. when you refuse to do the basic decent things for a wedding. The daughter sounds foolish and short-sighted. Unless there's some mistreatment, abuse, cheating, etc. that OP hasn't outlined here at the hands of his wife, which there doesn't seem to be, the daughter sounds like she wanted to say a big screw you to her stepmom. It isn't a good idea to flip off someone out of spite if their spouse is the one funding your wedding. She gambled and she lost. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. If she can't afford the wedding without dad's money, then there's no wedding. OP, stick to your guns. I wouldn't go back and agree to pay if she decides to invite your wife. She'll take your money and make it a nightmare for your wife. She's not going to choose to start playing nice suddenly. Let the mom's boyfriend pay. She thinks of him as family. My parents divorced when I, male teen, was 4. My dad married Becca 3 years later and stepped up to be a dad to her kids, who at the time were like really young. My dad tried to ban the word step from our house. For a good 3 years, he told me I shouldn't call Becca my stepmom or her kids my step-siblings. He said I could call her some other mom variant, but her kids were my brother and sister, period. Becca also chimed in on this crap, and she told me countless times that I was her kid's brother, and therefore my mom should be expected to be more involved with them. My mom, who I lived with half the time, but now I live primarily with, was expected to buy them gifts, invite them over to our house, and treat them as part of her family. She was expected to call them my brother and sister, and I guess act like they were her stepkids versus her husband's stepkids. To me, they've always been step-siblings. Becca's my dad's wife or stepmom. Stepmom to me is more of a close title, since my friends who use that are close to their step-parents. I'm not close to Becca or my dad. I ended up choosing to stay with my mom because I could not handle Dad and Becca constantly bringing her kids' inclusion at my mom's up to and around me. They would either talk to me about it or would corner my mom at exchanges in front of me. My mom would always try to minimize contact, but my dad and Becca made it a point to be present when I would go to my mom's house or car. My mom is significantly better off financially compared to my dad and Becca. I always assumed it's why they pushed the idea of my mom buying them gifts and including them in her life has been such a big push. They know I have stuff Becca's kids never get, and they know I get cool experiences. The last time my dad and Becca brought it up, I got mad. I had already told them to stop countless times in the past, to leave my mom alone and leave me out of it. I told them Becca's kids were not my brother and sister. They were my step-siblings, and I would keep using the step, regardless of whether or not they liked it. I also said that they're not my mom's kids, and therefore not included by her when she has me. I said they needed to get over that fact. They can't demand my mom buy gifts like she has 3 kids, or opens her home like she has 3, that she just has me. And by demanding crap, they're making crap toxic as heck. The point that got them the maddest was saying that they're not my brother and sister. They've always been big on steps being exclusionary. To me, it's just true though. No hard feelings towards Becca's kids, but step-siblings are how I see them. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. It is wrong of your dad and stepmother to use you to manipulate your mother into claiming your ex's stepchildren, especially when you were younger. They should never have put you in that situation. Also, it's wrong for them to expect your mother to see their children as hers. It may seem unfair that the step-siblings have less than you, but life isn't fair. They see you as a bridge to your mom's bank account and are upset you aren't helping them with that. How do they not understand that trying to force a relationship with someone is the surest way of blocking a relationship from growing organically? It's not that they don't understand, it's that they don't care about actually growing the relationship. They want the money. Your mom doesn't have to have anything to do with any of them, and demanding she buys them presents is laughable. I don't know what your dad was like with her, but giving her orders like that is laughable. Hopefully your mom is ignoring it. Good for you for standing up for yourself and your mom. It's too bad you couldn't have had a closer relationship with your step-sibs, but your dad and stepmom pretty much made that impossible. My fiance, female 28, and I, male 29, are getting married in September. We are now talking about the guest list, food, decorations, etc., etc. We decided to have a small wedding and invite our immediate family and closest friends. My sister's pregnant and is due in a few weeks. She's been trying for a baby for years, and I'm so happy for her. She RSVP'd and said she'd come with her husband and baby. Every family member can bring their SO and kids, so nothing unusual. I told my fiance that they would all be coming, and she got upset, saying she didn't want a baby at her wedding. She said that the baby would cry and ruin the wedding, plus everyone would be focused on my sister and her new baby. We all live in different states, so the wedding will be the first time most of the family will see the baby, as my sister and her husband are taking the summer to themselves to be alone with their baby. I reminded her that we agreed not to have a child-free wedding because she wanted her 7 nephews and nieces to attend, age pre-tween to teen. My brother's sons will also come, young child to pre-tween. She said I had to tell my sister to not bring the baby, so I said I'm not doing it. And she said she wants children there, not babies, because the other kids are old enough to know how to behave. I said she was ridiculous, and I was not doing that to my sister. She says we must have misunderstood each other and should fix this by clarifying why we don't want babies at our wedding. Am I the idiot for telling her I won't change the invitations? I've been to weddings, funerals, and all sorts of events with babies present. Sometimes they cry. That's true. But in those cases, the parents took their babies and left till they calmed down again. No harm was done. Nothing was ruined. Not the idiot. It's your wedding too. We never did this event is about me, us. I do not want any distractions from me, us type of thing in my family. I honestly don't understand that mindset. I don't understand that mindset either. In my family, weddings have been gatherings of aunts, uncles, and cousins who may not have seen each other for some time. Of course, the bride and groom get a lot of attention, but even in a gathering of only about 50 people, the guests spend more time with each other than they do with the couple. I'm worried the fiance's expectations of how the non-baby children will behave might be a little off, and she may be disappointed. I'm a wedding officiant and coordinator. Every wedding I've been to has had more disruptions from kids between the ages of 6 and 12 than from babies. A child-free wedding is one thing, but inviting all nieces and nephews and deliberately excluding one of them because you're afraid they'll pull focus is ludicrous to me. And from what you've described, it sounds like the only thing your future wife cares about is that she doesn't have to share one crumb of attention with anyone else. This princess for a day bullshit has to stop. Your sister's supposed to be your fiance's new family member. Not caring about what this will put her through is cruel, and thinking that your sister being alone won't cause people to immediately ask, "Where's your baby?" is just stupid. Your sister will be getting the new mom's attention either way, and when that happens, your bride will likely melt down. She's jealous of a baby that hasn't been born yet. That's not an attractive look. My son, 18, has found out that one of his ex-girlfriends is 8 months pregnant. He knew nothing of her being pregnant until now, and now he's just expected to accept everything, no questions asked. My daughter 20 is good friends with this girl and knew about her pregnancy, but said nothing to us because her friend asked her not to. My son was head over heels for this lady, but she broke his heart by cheating on him and was very needy and manipulative. He spent a lot of money on her because she would ask for a gift my son couldn't afford and convince him to use one of my credit cards to achieve it. My daughter, who isn't currently living with us and is actually rooming with her near her college, is also being manipulated by her. She thinks she only does good and doesn't believe that she convinced her brother to use my credit card or that she even cheated. She showed up with my son's ex-girlfriend at my door to help her tell us that she was pregnant. When I saw her there at my door, visually pregnant, I knew she was going to say that my son was the father and immediately said that my son would not be putting any money or time until there was a paternity test proving that it's his child. My son backed me up and agreed. My daughter was horrified by my comment, accused me of encouraging him to be a deadbeat father, and was upset I didn't even give them a chance to explain themselves. My son's ex started crying, saying you always assume the worst of me and that she went 8 months of pregnancy alone, and the least we could do is ensure she's taken care of for the betterment of his child. I do agree that if this is his child, we are going to ensure mom is doing well to ensure baby's doing well. But I don't want my son to be involved with her only to get his heart broken again and only to find out that the child isn't his. Am I the idiot here? Not the idiot. She went through 8 months of pregnancy alone because she chose not to tell him. That's completely on her. A paternity test in this situation is completely reasonable. Did she give a reason for not telling him until it was far too late for him to be involved in other decisions? Wonder why? Perhaps because she was cheating on him. Why should your son believe a person who cheated on him? He should demand a paternity test, proving he's the father before giving her any money. If he isn't the father, she can go find whoever it is. That's life. They were in a relationship. She cheated, they broke up, and now she's pregnant. Anyone, no matter how old, should ask for a paternity test. The fact that she got defensive is a bit of a red flag. She should welcome the paternity test if she's being truthful. And your daughter seems naive if she assumes that a woman wouldn't lie to a man about paternity. This happens far too often, unfortunately. She's had 8 months to come forward and waits until the very end of the pregnancy. Sounds like she got dumped by the other dude and is looking for a baby daddy that'll take care of her. And what's up with your daughter? There are confidences you keep, and there are secrets that are always going to come out and explode. Everyone would have been better off with more than a month to plan for the baby about to enter the world.